Okay, bachcho, so if you remember in the last class, we have done halogenalkane and we completed halogenalkanes. Now we are moving towards alcohols in this base class. So we ended over here and now we are moving towards from this topic and we are moving towards alcohols, right? Yes, every one of you, do you know what is alcohol? Yes, Arsalan, can you tell me what is alcohol today? Yes, Arsalan.
Contains OH group.
OH group, शाबाश शाबाश, very good. अगर आपके पास कोई कार्बन चेन हो जिसको हम बोलते हैं अल्काइल चेन, अल्काइल रेडिकल, अगर ऐसा कोई रेडिकल हो उसके साथ अगर आपके पास हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप लगा हो OH, उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं बच्चों? उसको हम बोलते हैं अल्कोहल। ये ग्रुप है, ये फंक्शनल ग्रुप अल्कोहल का है, ये होमोलोगस सीरीज अल्कोहल की है, राइट? सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट alcohol in today's class. So we are talking about alcohols, and we know that if this functional group is attached, then means it is alcohol, right? What is the general formula of alcohol? If you want to find out the molecules of alcohol or compounds of alcohol, so the general formula for alcohol is CnH2n plus 1 OH. This is the general formula for alcohols, right? You can find out alcohols, compounds of alcohols by this general formula, right? So let's start with the first one. If you put 1 as a value of N, so what will be the first formula of the compound from this homologous series? Just look at over here. If N is 1, so the value of C will be 1, right? You can say that it is C1. And if it's there 1, so we don't need to write over there. Then H is 2 1s are 2 plus 1. It will be H3 and OH. This will be the first formula or first compound of this homologous series, right? So this formula को हम क्या बोलते हैं बच्चों? We know this is molecular formula. When the number of carbon is exactly defined, when the number of each element is exactly defined, then we can consider this a molecular formula. Then we need to draw a displayed formula. And the very, very important thing over here, you need to remember, for the exam pattern questions, you need to remember when you write down the displayed formula of alcohols, right? Carbon attached hai with hydrogens, 3 hydrogens, then it is attached with OH. And you need to keep remember, bachcho, there is a every carbon having 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So they have 4 bonds, right? And every oxygen having 6 electrons in the outermost shell. So they have 2 electrons. So you can see this. Here we have complete valency of carbon and oxygen and hydrogen as well. We know that hydrogen has only 1 electron. So it will form a single bond. So remember this. This is a displayed formula, and displayed formula, you need to display every single bond over there, right? It is very important. अगर आप ऐसा नहीं करेंगे तो आपको नंबर नहीं मिलेगा डिस्प्लेड फार्मूला जब वो पूछेगा पेपर में बनाने के लिए. You need to show every bond over there.
सर सिंपली OH नहीं डिस्प्ले कर सकते?
नहीं, सिंपली OH नहीं लिख सकते आप. इफ यू राइट जस्ट सिंपली OH तो आपने इसका मतलब OH का जो बॉन्ड ना वो गायब कर दिया. OH आप कंडेंस में लिख सकते हो. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू टॉक अबाउट कंडेंस्ड फार्मूला, तो कंडेंस्ड फार्मूला में आप OH लिख सकते हो. दैट्स नॉट अ बिग डील. बट डिस्प्लेड फार्मूले का मतलब क्या होता है? यू नीड टू शो एवरी सिंगल बॉन्ड. तो यहाँ पर आप लिख सकते हैं CH3OH, कोई मसला नहीं है, लेकिन डिस्प्ले में आपको बॉन्ड बना के दिखाना पड़ेगा. सही है? Then we have one more type of formula. We know that it is known as skeletal formula, right? A skeletal formula भी होता है. अच्छा देखिए, skeletal formula में आपको कार्बन दिखाने होंगे, ठीक है? 7 कार्बन के आपने दिखाना होता है फंक्शनल ग्रुप दूसरे फंक्शनल ग्रुप, ठीक है ना। अब इस फंक्शनल ग्रुप में अगर H आ रहा है तो यू नीड टू राइट ओवर हियर, अगर कार्बन की चेन में H आ रहा है तो वी डोंट नीड टू राइट, बट अगर फंक्शनल अगर आप H नहीं लिखेंगे तो O से कैसे पता चलेगा कि ये अल्कोहल है, ठीक है ना। इसलिए फंक्शनल ग्रुप डिफाइन करना इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन द skeletal formula. So right now it is dot for a single carbon and OH showing that one carbon alcohol. Right, then we know that we write the names, and पहले हम क्या रखते हैं prefix and then हम रखते हैं suffix, ठीक है ना। So in this way we know that one carbon known as meth, and for the alcohols you can use OL as a suffix, but to combine meth and all we just use like this anol, so it will be meth anol, right बच्चों। right बच्चों।
जी सर।
Then if we put two carbons, so it will be C2H5OH, right? And then we need to draw every carbon over here, two carbons, and one of the carbon is attached with OH. This is displayed formula, so we need to show the different bond of O over here with H and with carbon as well. This is the displayed formula, and we can write the condensed formula in this way. First carbon is attached with 3 hydrogens, and the second carbon is 2 hydrogen and 1 OH. Then if we draw the skeletal formula, this is one carbon, this is two carbon, and the second carbon is attached with OH. So this will be the skeletal formula, and we know that if we have two carbons, so it is known as it, and it is alcohol, so it is it and all, right? For example, if you have three carbons, so remember bachcho, three carbons means prop, so you know prop and all, and if you put three in place of N, so it will be C3, H2, 3 is 6 plus 1, 7, OH, then 3 carbons, so 1, 2, 3, and OH over here. So this will be propanol, right? Or you can even put hydroxyl on the second carbon as well. So it will be the isomer of this, like this. You can put OH over here. So it will be the isomer of propanol, this 2-propanol, right? If you put hydroxyl on the first carbon, so it will be 1-propanol, and if you put hydroxyl on the second carbon, so it will be 2-propanol, right? And the molecular formula will remain same for both. As you know that molecular formula same, structural formula different. This is known as what? This is known as isomer, right? And right now it is functional group isomer. Then we talk about the condensed formula. First carbon 3 hydrogen, second carbon 2 hydrogens, and the last carbon having 2 hydrogen and OH. Over here you can see this first carbon having 3 hydrogen, second carbon having H plus OH, right? So you can write OH in this way if it is in the center, and then CH3. Then later on you can see there's 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon, and hydroxyl functional group. Over here it is 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon. You can write OH on the second carbon, or if you want to write upward, so you can write upward as well. OH. Right बच्चों, clear or not?
Yes sir.
चलें जल्दी से ब्यूटानॉल बना के दिखाएं मुझे, और पेंटानॉल बना के दिखाएं। थोड़ी देर के लिए है ना रिकॉर्डिंग स्टॉप करते हैं। देखो डिस्प्लेड फॉर्मूले में अरसलान तुमने O और H के बीच में बॉन्ड नहीं बनाया अभी तक। O और H के बीच में बॉन्ड बनाओ, और ये आपने पहले H लिख दिया बाद में O लिख दिया। OH लिखोगे ना, पहले O लिखोगे फिर H लिखोगे। अगर H के साथ बॉन्ड बन जाएगा तो फिर तो दूसरा बॉन्ड बन ही नहीं सकता O के साथ, क्योंकि हाइड्रोजन सिर्फ एक बॉन्ड बनाते हैं ना। तो राइट डाउन OH ओवर हियर, नॉट HO। सही करो इसको, डिस्प्लेड फॉर्मूले को। ठीक है बेटे, और शायद सही बनाया आपने। O और H के बीच में बॉन्ड बनाओ अरसलान, O और H के बीच में बॉन्ड बनाओ बेटे, जैसे मैंने बनाया। देखो O और H के बीच में भी बॉन्ड है। चले बच्चों आगे चलें। बच्चों आगे चलें।
यस सर।
चलें देखें। उसके बाद अगर आप बात करते हैं, किसकी, आप बात करते हैं प्रेपरेशन मेथड्स की, तो आई थिंक you know one of the method by which you can prepare alcohols, right? And that method is what? You know that if you have alkenes and you treat this with steam or water in the presence of 350 degrees centigrade, 100 atmospheric pressure, and dilute phosphoric acid, you know that what you will get? You will get alcohols. And the specialty of this preparation method is that you can produce any type of alcohol by this method. Any type of alcohol means if you are using 2 carbons ethene, it is C2H4 reacting with water will give you what? 2 carbon alcohol, C2H5OH. For example, if you are using 3 carbon alkene, so when it reacts with water, it will produce alcohol with 3 carbon. So you can produce any type of alcohol by this method. This is known as industrial preparation of alcohol, or you can say that it is actually catalytic hydration of alcohol. This is catalytic hydration of alcohol. ओके बच्चों,
सर एक बार रिपीट करना, ये समझ नहीं।
इसका नाम है कैटालाइटिक हाइड्रेशन ऑफ अल्कोहल। कैटालाइटिक hydration of alkene, sorry, catalytic hydration of alkene, or you can say that it is a formation of alcohol. Formation of alcohol, yeah, industrial formation of alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Then we have one more method by which we can prepare alcohols, and this is known as fermentation, and the fermentation is going to produce only ethanol. Fermentation, by fermentation, you can produce ethanol only. For example, if you are having glucose, and when you are going to ferment this in the absence of oxygen, you need to do this at almost 20 to 25 degrees centigrade in the presence of yeast, which is an enzyme over here. It will produce alcohol of 2 carbons, means it always forms ethanol with carbon dioxide. So this is facts. When you talk about fermentation of any glucose, like glucose in grapes, like glucose in apples, or whatever you are using, the thing you need to understand is the only process, or the only product is what? Ethanol. ठीक है, इस वाले प्रोसेस से बनने वाला जो है आपके पास सिर्फ और सिर्फ इथेनॉल है। राइट बच्चों, क्लियर हो गया?
यस सर।
ठीक है, तो ये दो मेथड है, जिसमें से एक ऑलरेडी आप एल्कीन्स में पढ़ चुके थे, अभी आपने एक नया पढ़ लिया। उसके अलावा अगर आपको याद हो अल्कोहल के बारे में और भी थोड़ी बहुत चीजों की इंफॉर्मेशन आपको है, क्योंकि आप ऑलरेडी पढ़ चुके हैं 2-4 चीजें अल्कोहल के बारे में। और वो क्या पढ़ चुके हैं बच्चों आप लोग? यू नो दैट इफ यू हैव alkenes, so you can convert alkenes into alcohols. You know that, right? Or you know that if you have halogenoalkane, you can convert this into alcohols, right? You learned this in the previous chapter, right? And you also know that if you have alcohol, you can convert this alcohol back to alkenes, right? Or you also know that, for example, if you have alkenes, you can convert these alkenes into diols, means two hydroxyls, right? You know this, right? For example, if I give you, bacho, if you have C2H4, so you know this, I can react it with water. When I react it with water, it will form alcohol, right? And for this, we know that we require a dilute phosphoric acid as a catalyst, so 50 degrees centigrade temperature and 100 atmospheric pressure. And you also know this, for example, if you have 2 carbon halogenoalkane, so you can react it with NaOH or KOH aqueous, any one of them, NaOH aqueous or KOH aqueous, and you can do regenerative reflux, and you will get what? Alcohol with 2 carbons with salt, right? You know this. Then you also know this, if you have alcohol with 2 carbons or with 3 carbons, whatever. But you need to keep remember, if you are removing H and OH from any alcohol, so you need to keep remember, wherever you have OH, the consecutive carbon should have H, right? When you add concentrated sulfuric acid with 200 degrees centigrade temperature, you will see that what happened? It will back to alkenes plus the removal of water molecules. It is known as what? Dehydration or elimination. And you also know that if you have any alkene and you're treating it with dilute KMnO4, cold condition, you will see that on both the carbons you have OH, which is known as this is diol, right? But so you already did this in the previous chapters. Is it right or not? Right?
जी सर।
Then now the new property that you are going to understand is this. For example, if you have alcohol and you are going to convert this into halogenoalkane, if you are going to convert alcohols into halogenoalkanes, back towards halogenoalkanes, right? जाने वाला रास्ता आपके सामने है ये रहा. Now you are going back to halogenoalkanes, right? Now what happened? Just look at over here. For example, if you have alcohol like this, right, and you want that we can put Cl instead of hydroxyl over here, you want to put chlorine on this carbon. You need to replace hydroxyl with chlorine. So it has a different condition. It has a condition that you can add PCl5 at room temperature and pressure. You will see that chlorine will be substituted. Or you can use PCl3 at you can see that PCl3 and heat, right? So you will see that chlorine will be substituted. Or you can use SOCl2 and heat. So you will see that you also get chlorine on that species. So these are 3 conditions. Any one of them you can use, right, bachcho? Then you think about it that we don't want chlorine, we want bromine. For example, if you want bromine, so PBr5 is not any compound, so we require something else to put bromine over here. Even PBr3 is also not any stable compound, so we can even not use this. So for this we need to do something which produces this. So for this you can use red phosphorus plus bromine and heat. So you will see that bromine will be substituted over there. Or you can use concentrated HBr gas, which can also do this, right? Same as it is, if you want that, no sir, we want that K hydroxyl की जगह लग जाए iodine. we want that we replace iodine by, we replace hydroxyl by iodine. You can see this. We want iodine over here on this carbon. So for this, we have different conditions. Same as it is what bromine has. We need to do this again. What you need to have red phosphorus plus iodine, and you can heat this, or you can use concentrated HI, or you can even say that HI gas, the concentrated gas. एक ही बात है, ठीक है, जो आपको दिल चाहे आप यूज कर सकते हैं. Is that clear, बच्चों?
सर ये डेल्टा एच क्या है BR2 के साथ?
डेल्टा एच का मतलब है हीट. यू आर हीटिंग इट. Right? So you can convert alcohols into any halogen alkane, means any halogen on the alkane chains, right? Then the biggest chemical property of this homologous series is oxidation and reduction, जो कि सबसे ज्यादा पेपर में पूछी जाती है. उसके बारे में you need to be understand very carefully कि ये क्या चीज है और आपको याद रखना है properly. So for this you need to see this. First of all, you need to remember what is primary alcohols, what is secondary alcohols, and what are tertiary alcohols. Primary alcohols, secondary alcohols, and tertiary alcohols. Right, so we know that if we have carbon, and on this carbon we have OH, and also the carbon chain like CH3, and on this carbon we have two H's. That means it is primary alcohol. And for example, we have a carbon with OH having two carbon chains on both sides. We have two carbon chains, and only one H over there is secondary alcohol. And for example, a carbon having OH, and on three sides of this carbon we have carbon chains. So this type of alcohol known as tertiary alcohols. Now you need to keep remember, if examiner asks you the type of functional group या homologous series in any specific molecule, जो कि वो पूछता है, you need to write specifically primary alcohol, secondary alcohol, or tertiary alcohol, because they have different chemical properties. You need to tell them separately. For example, if you have a molecule like this, examiner gave you a molecule like this, and they ask for 2 marks, tell the functional group, yeah, homologous series present in this, right? Tell the functional group, sorry, you can say that homologous series. Tell them, yeah, examiner asks, tell, yeah, identify the homologous series present over here. So you simply identify it over here. Okay, OH hai, sir, the alcohol hai, but it is of 2 marks, so you will have only 1 mark for this. You need to define it is primary, secondary, tertiary. So you can see this on one carbon, on this carbon, one side is attached with carbon and the other side is also attached with carbon, and only one H over here. So it is actually secondary alcohol. You need to define it. जब आप लिखेंगे secondary alcohol, you will got 2 marks for this, right बच्चों? You need to keep remember, एक तो ये वाली बात बहुत आपको याद रखनी है पेपर में, या आप गलती करेंगे तो आपको डेफिनेटली नंबर कट जाएगा, फिर आप बोलेंगे सर मैं अच्छा करके आया था, नंबर कट गया. दूसरा ये कि जब आप डिस्प्लेड फार्मूला में OH बनाएंगे तो you need to show it like this. So you need to keep remember these key points or these short things that you can do a mistake in the exams, right, बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
Then let's talk about oxidation reduction. Let's talk about something like oxidation reduction. So first of all, we are going to talk about oxidation 3 carbons. Let's talk about 4 carbons, right? And over here I have hydroxyl group H. For example, you have 2 carbons, and this is the functional group over here, right? So this is what 3 carbons alcohol, so it is known as propanol. And you know that the hydroxyl with the carbon having 2 individual H's, so it is primary alcohol. And for example, if you have a carbon and you have hydroxyl with that carbon on which we have only one individual hydrogen and two sides of that is covered by carbon chains. So this is secondary alcohol, right? Then third one is like this. You have a functional group on such carbon where all three sides are covered with carbon. So this is just tertiary halogen one. Oh, sorry, tertiary alcohol, right? So, but so first of all, you can see over here, for example, if I remove two H's from here, I can remove this on such carbon. I'm talking about such carbon on which we have hydroxyl. So you can see this, I can remove this H and this H or any other, right? For example, you can even remove this H as well, right? So if you do this, but I am doing the last one, so the structure will be easier for you guys, right? You can do this. It's simply present over here, so you can subtract H's, and also over here we have from here as well. But you don't have second H in this structure, so you cannot do this with the tertiary one. If you talk about the tertiary one, so you just have a single H, not a second individual H over here. That means you cannot remove two H's from this. So why we are doing this? Because we know that removal of hydrogen is oxidation. So it is actually oxygen and the hydrogen, and the rest of all the substance or elements are on their places. And over here as well, we have carbon double bond with oxygen, and the rest of all things are on its place, right? All the elements are on their places. And here we cannot remove two H's over here, so definitely it is not going to do, or it is not going to work over here. And we know that it is a loss of hydrogen, and the loss of hydrogen is called oxidation. As we are talking about oxidation of alcohol, so this is actually the chemical property, oxidation of alcohols, right? Then we know that oxidation is also the gain of oxygen as well, but right now in the second part there is no possibility to gain electrons, right, plus oxygen. But right now we can do this over here as well. You know that if I add oxygen over here, it can be converted into carboxylic acid. We can do this, or the substance can do this, right? So this is actually the case that you need to remember, Bacho. If you have a carbon having OH on such carbon where you have two individual H's, so we know that it is what? It is primary alcohol. It is primary alcohol. So if you treat primary alcohol with oxidizing agents, you will see that क्या होगा आपके साथ? You will have carbon double bond oxygen and directly connected with H. So this is known as aldehyde. आपके पास aldehyde बन जाएगा. And if you do oxidation further with this, you will see this carbon double bond oxygen और इसके साथ directly OH. This is what? Carboxylic acid. So the aldehyde can further convert it into carboxylic acid, right? This is what primary alcohol can do. But you can see over here, Bacho, if we talk about this one, so a hydroxyl with the carbon having only a single H, so it is forming what, Bacho? It is forming secondary alcohol. So this is secondary alcohol. So if you are doing oxidation of secondary alcohol, so Bacho, you can see this. We have carbon double bond oxygen, and this is directly converted with carbon and here carbon as well. So such type of functional group in which you have carbon and oxygen double bond in the center, not even a single hydrogen on the corners. So it is known as ketone, right? Ketone. So that is why it is a specific in exam. If they ask the homologous series with having OH functional group, so you need to define them. Is that primary alcohol, secondary alcohol, or tertiary? Because they have different chemical properties. If you have primary alcohol, so they can be converted into aldehyde and then carboxylic acid. And if you have secondary alcohol, so they can convert it into ketone only. And if you have tertiary alcohol, so they cannot even convert it into any of the functional group. They will remain unreacted. All right, Bacho? So these have three different properties over here. Is that clear or not?
चलिए कीटोन वाला एक बार एक्सप्लेन करें.
कीटोन वाला एक्सप्लेन करूं. You can see this. For example, अगर आपके पास कार्बन और ऑक्सीजन का डबल बॉन्ड सेंटर में आ जाए, यानी दोनों तरफ कार्बन आ जाए, ठीक है ना? तो आप देखें यहाँ पर आप H नहीं है कहीं पर भी, इस कार्बन के ऊपर, जहाँ पर कार्बन और ऑक्सीजन का डबल बॉन्ड है वहाँ H नहीं है कहीं, ठीक है ना, तो दिस इज एक्चुअली नोन एज कीटोन, राइट। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आपके पास कार्बन और ऑक्सीजन का डबल बॉन्ड आ जाए, एक तरफ कार्बन की चेन हो, दूसरी तरफ आपके पास क्या हो, डायरेक्टली H लगा हुआ इंडिविजुअल, तो दिस इज व्हाट, एल्डिहाइड CHO, दिस इज कीटोन CO, राइट।
yes,
एंड अगर आपके पास क्या हो, अगर आपके पास C डबल बॉन्ड O हो और ये अटैच हो OH से, so this will be what, carboxylic acid, so it will be CH3 C double OH, ठीक है।
ठीक है।
Now the thing is, what is the substance that is going to be used over here, the substance that can be used over here as a reagent to do this, right? What can we use over here? Remember, bacho, if you talk about reagent over here, so reagent is acidified KMnO4. You can use this, right? But KMnO4 is very strong oxidizing agent. So if you use KMnO4, so it cannot convert primary alcohol into aldehyde. It directly converts into carboxylic acid. So if we want that primary alcohol converted into aldehyde, so we need to use a little bit smoother oxidizing agent. So it will be K2Cr2O7. It is a good oxidizing agent and is a little bit reliable to form aldehydes, right? So you can use this for any of the formation. So you can use acidic, acidic matlab H positive, K2Cr2O7, right? And over here you can even use acidic K2Cr2O7. Over here you can use acidic K2Cr2O7, right? And the conditions, if you talk about the conditions, if you want to convert aldehyde, if you want to convert primary alcohol into aldehyde, so you want to stop the reaction in the middle, so what you need to do, heat and distill of the product. You need to heat. Once the alcohol is converted into aldehyde, you just need to distill off the product, right? And if you want that, what you need to do, you know that you need to heat till the alcohol is completely converted into carboxylic acid. For this, we need to do heat continuously till the alcohol converted completely into carboxylic acid, and same as over here, heat under reflux for the complete cover. Right, Bacho? So these are the things that you need to understand about oxidation of alcohol. It is quite important, right? So you need to remember. So if I write over here, if you want aldehyde from primary alcohol, you have primary alcohol and you want what, aldehyde, so the acidic potassium dichromate, right? And you need to do what,
नहीं था,
no, KMnO4 बहुत strong हो जाएगा, वो aldehyde में convert नहीं करेगा इसको, ये थोड़ा सा weak oxidizing agent है, that is why we are using heat and distill. KMnO4 दूसरे में आप use कर सकते हैं, like for example, if you want, you will have primary alcohol and you want to convert this directly into or here you can use KMnO4 or even you can use K2CR2O7, it does not matter. So here for you to learn, or you can use acidic potassium permanganate, it can work. Because if you are going directly or you are going to complete a reaction, that's okay. Or for this, you need to do what? Heat under reflux. And again, if you want to convert secondary alcohol into ketone, so you can even use carboxylic, or you can even use potassium permanganate over here as well, because we know that there is no further product over here to be made. So you can even use acidic potassium dichromate, or you can use acidic KMnO4. It does not matter. You just have only one product over here, which is ketone, and you need to do heat under reflux for complete reaction. Right, बच्चों? Got it?
सही
Yes, बच्चों, got it?
यस सर
चले उसके बाद if you know that if it is possible for the substances to go into oxidized form or going to be oxidized, so it can be go back as well, or they can be reduced as well. So you can talk about the reduction as well. If they are going to convert into aldehyde, so they can convert back to alcohol as well. They convert into alcohols as well. So for this, you need to use reducing agent. So the best reducing agent that you can use is NaBH4 aqueous. Because aldehyde is weak, you can easily convert back into primary alcohol. So you can use NaBH4 aqueous, or you can even use hydrogen with nickel at 200 degrees centigrade temperature, or you can use the best reducing agent, which is lithium aluminum hydride in ether. This is the best or the strongest reducing agent. So definitely you need to use over here the only possible lithium aluminum hydride in ether. You need to use this, right, and heat under reflux. And if you want to go back from here, you need to remember you can use lithium aluminum hydride in ether, and you need to do what? Heat under reflux. ठीक है बच्चों?
ठीक है
So this is a very important chemical property in throughout the syllabus. You need to remember these. It is perfect and for the past papers and for the exam point of view, it is very necessary, right? For example, what you need to do, you need to understand just these things. For example, if I gave you 1 carbon, 2 carbon, or 3 carbon, and along with this, I just gave you hydroxyl and H's, and we are going to treat this with acidic chromate भी लिख सकते हैं, वो इस तरह भी लिख सकते हैं, पोटेशियम हटा सकते हैं, वो अगर वो इस तरह लिख दें और आपसे so you need to keep remember you need to convert this into aldehyde only, so it will remain same, it will remain same, it will remain same. The only difference is you need to remove this and this to form aldehyde, right? Then if they told you no, the same reagent but heat under reflux, if they say like this, you need to keep remember that the remaining things are remain same except the functional group. So over here you need to keep remember the H will be converted into OH, so it will be carboxylic acid, right? Or for example, if you have 1 carbon and OH over here and H over here and CH3, and they are saying that you are using acidified potassium dichromate, so you can even write chromate in this way without potassium, and they are saying you are doing heat under reflux, और चलें अगर उसने लिखा भी नहीं यहाँ पर heat under reflux लिखा भी नहीं, so you know that it is going to be formed ketone. There is no other possibility over here. So simple is that you just need to remove these, right, H's, the one which is under the carbon and the one which is with hydroxyl, and you are going to form a carbon double bond with oxygen, right? Same as it is if they gave you the different things, like if I write 3H3, CH2, whatever I write over here, C double bond O and CH3, whatever I write, and I say ammonium hydride and ether over here, what will be the product? So you know that कोई issue नहीं है, आप लिखेंगे CH3, CH2, C, CH3, just आपने क्या करना है कि इस कार्बन पे डबल बॉन्ड तोड़कर OH लगा देना है और यहाँ H लगा देना. That's okay. That will be great for you, right? So that is the thing that you need to understand, बच्चों, कि आपने क्या करना है अल्कोहल्स वाले चैप्टर में. क्लियर हो गया आप सबको? कोई इशू?
नहीं सर।
चलें, आज के लिए इतना ही काफी है। इंशाल्लाह बाकी हम जो है नेक्स्ट क्लास में करेंगे, और नेक्स्ट क्लास के लिए पहले आप ये पुराना सारा रिवाइज करके आइएगा और